Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, whether you're joining us in the sanctuary or whether you're joining us online. It's good to be with you and to spend a little time with you. So you can sit there. It's okay. I'll let you sit there. Welcome all the way from Grand Junction, Colorado. It's great to be with those of you. And if you're online, those of you who are joining us online, just say hello. Some of you already have, so that other people know that you're there and we can be together. We're going to start with a few Shabbat songs to get us warmed up. Cantor Paul is still in Buffalo, but he will actually be back tomorrow. So he'll be making his way back. He'll be back with us for Simchat Torah, which I'll say more about later. So let's start. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. 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 Well, kick up your feet, 'cause the week is gone. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. 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 Well, kick up your feet, 'cause the week is gone. Well, we've got some symbols for Shabbat. We've got our candles. We've got Kiddush. We have a cup. And we have challah. And, of course, on Shabbat, we have each other, which is a special thing, to be able to connect with other people. We've got candles, Kiddush, challah each other. 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 Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Well, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Kick up your feet, 'cause the week is gone. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my Rosh, up in my Rosh, up in my Rosh. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my Rosh, my head, up in my Rosh to stay. I've got that Shabbat feeling down in my Riglayim, my legs down in my Riglayim, down in my Riglayim. I've got that Shabbat feeling down in my Riglayim, down in my Riglayim to stay. I've got that Shabbat feeling deep in my lev, deep in my lev, deep in my lev. I got that Shabbat feeling deep in my lev, deep in my lev to stay. I've got that Shabbat feeling bichol gufi, all over, bichol gufi. Bichol gufi, I've got that Shabbat feeling. Bichol gufi to stay. I've got that Shabbat feeling all over me. I've got it all over me. All over me, I've got that Shabbat feeling all over me to stay. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. We are going to light our Shabbat candles to help to bring in Shabbat. So invite those who are comfortable doing so to stand up, to rise. This one's still up. It was deciding. We make 3 circles, 1 circle for ourselves, and 1 circle for our family, and 1 circle for all the people in the world, and we join in our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. You can turn to the people around you and wish them Shabbat Shalom. And you can be seated. We are on page 8 if you're using a book. On page 8, and we sing together Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Shabbat bride, the Shabbat presence into the congregation. And we say to each other, Shabbat Shalom u'mivorach. We wish each other a Shabbat of peace and of blessing. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabla, Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabla, Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabla. Page 18, for our call to prayer, Baruch Hu, I ask those who can do so to please stand. Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 Yada die die die, yada die die die. We're going to skip ahead now to page 28 and 29 for Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated. You can sit down. We continue on page 33 first, and then page 32. We remember when we were slaves in Egypt. We remember when the Egyptians forced us to work from sunrise to sunset. We remember when our bellies growled because there was no food to eat. We remember when all we wanted was a cool drink of water. We remember when we had no blankets and shivered in the night. We remember crossing into safety and breathing the air of freedom. We remember dancing with joy and singing our songs of thanks. And because we remember, we promise this day to feed the hungry, to bring water to the thirsty, to give clothes to the needy, and to reach out our hands and bring the whole world into our freedom dance. Micha Mocha is on page 32. Yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die. Micha Mocha Bailim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot. Osefele, Osefele. Let's clap our hands. Yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die. Yada die 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 die, a little bit faster. Yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai, Gaal Yisrael. Page 38. Page 38, in a minute, when we turn to page 40, but not yet, we're going to connect ourselves to all the people that came before us, to our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents and our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, all the way back to Abraham and Sarah, all the people who have come before us. First, we're going to ask God to open our mouths and our hearts that we can pray words of goodness and words of blessing. So I invite everybody to stand up, if you can do so. And we're on page 38. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my mouth so that I can pray to you with all my heart. Page 40. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. We're going to take the Torah out. I'm going to walk around with it. The song isn't in the book, but it's a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. All who embrace it. Happy. Shalom. 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 Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. All who embrace it are happy. Shalom. You want to touch? No, not sure. Shalom, 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 shalom. You can all sit down. So once a long time ago in a little town, there was an artist. She loved to paint beautiful things. Each day she would wake up and paint something beautiful. She would paint a building. She would paint a person. She would paint a mountain. She would paint a sunset. She would paint something, and she did this every day. She always found things beautiful to paint. And then one day, she woke up and she looked around and she said, "There are no more beautiful things to paint. I've painted them all. I'm going to have to go on a little trip, on a little journey to find beautiful things to paint." And so she did. She packed her canvases, the things she painted on, and all her paints in a little backpack, and she went on her way. Well, she walked for the first day, and at the end of that day, she was crossing a bridge, and there were people crossing the bridge, and they were so happy. They were smiling, and they were happy, and they were jumping for joy. And she said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Oh, in the place that we live, there's been war, but the war is over, and we get to go home and be with our families and be able to just live our lives and be in peace." And she took out a canvas and she painted the expressions on their faces and the joy and all that was there. And she wrote across the top, "Peace." And she continued on her way. She had the canvas in her hand as it was drying, as she was walking. And when it dried up, she rolled it up and put it in her sack. And then a little bit later, as she was walking, she came across a family, and they were having a picnic in the field. And she could tell from the way they were laughing and they were playing and they were throwing a ball and how much they loved each other, how much they cared about each other. And she just stopped and watched them for a moment, and it made her heart smile. And she took out a canvas and she painted the family, and she painted the love that was part of their interaction with each other. And she wrote across the top, Love, love. She put love across the top because she could see all the love that was there. And she continued on her way. She actually had to turn around and start heading home because Shabbat was coming, and she had promised she'd be home for Shabbat, but she continued on her journey just now in the other direction. And as she was running a little late, she was moving a little faster now. She was moving a little faster, and she was breathing a little bit hard. And as she came to a little village, it was already now the afternoon leading up to Shabbat. She stopped. She passed this. There was a little synagogue, and she could hear the words of prayer from afternoon prayers coming up out of the synagogue. And in her head, she could
she could see Hebrew words and up to heaven. And so she stopped and she painted the little building, and she painted the Hebrew words, the words of prayer and blessing rising out through the roof and through the ceiling, and the music coming out. It was so beautiful, all the people singing together. And she wrote across the top, prayer. And she had to hurry, so she didn't have time to wait for her canvas to dry. She just kind of held it, and she kept going. And she was running late. She had promised she'd be home before Shabbat, but as she entered her town, she could already see Shabbat candles being lit in the various windows, and the sun had set. And as she approached her own house, she stopped. And she could see her family gathered around the Shabbat table, and she could see the candles already lit at the table. And as she came into the house, her family all gathered around her and gave her lots of hugs and kisses. And she thought to herself, I went on this journey to find beautiful things to paint, and I found peace, and I found love, and I found prayer. And at this moment, as we welcome Shabbat, all of those beautiful things are right here in my own home. And her heart was filled with all of those things, with peace and with love and with prayer. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you and all my friends. Let's make some candles. The Shabbat candles are burning bright. The Shabbat candles, they're burning bright. The Shabbat candles are burning bright to let us know it's a Friday night. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you and all my friends. Let's eat some challah. The Shabbat challah is good to eat. The Shabbat challah so good to eat. The Shabbat challah is good to eat. It's a special Shabbat treat. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you and all my friends. Well, Shabbat day, it's my favorite day. Shabbat day is my favorite day. Shabbat day, it's my favorite day. Why? 'Cause it's the day I get to say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you and all my friends. Oh, Shabbat Shalom, friends. When I first wished people Shabbat Shalom in the sanctuary, there were a few of you, and now there's a whole bunch more of you that are here. And thank you for those of you. I'm seeing you here on my device on the counter, so thank you for those of you who have joined us online as well. It's good to be with you. A few announcements. First of all, everybody is invited to my house tomorrow. At 7 p.m., there's Havdalah and dessert at the Kupitz family Sukkah on 11th Street in Claremont. If anybody wants to come and doesn't know my address, if you send an email to rabbi@tbipomona.org, happy to send you my address, and you're welcome to join us. So especially those of you with young kids who are might contemplate coming or not, know that Havdalah will really be at about 7:30, so for some of your families that may not work. It may be too late, but some of you it may work, and we'd love to have you if you want to come. In addition, we have Simchat Torah services on Sunday night. We have pizza provided at 6 o'clock, starting at 6 o'clock. We'll have tables set up outside. Hopefully, unlike Sukkot, it won't be raining during dinner, but we will have tables set up outside, and there'll be a Simchat Torah service in here at 6:45, and we'll unroll the whole Torah during the service all the way around the room, and you can see the whole scroll open. So if you're able to join us, we'd love to have you. The next day, that's relatively family-friendly service. The next day there's a morning service at 10 a.m., less family-friendly, with Yisker memorial prayers and all of those regular beginning of the prayer for rain, which we do at Shmini Atzeret, all of those kinds of things. And last, but certainly not least, next Friday night at 7 p.m., we have our first Shabbat Together service. And for those with elementary school kids at JCS and stuff, there'll be more advertising coming out this week, more things going on. But in an attempt to make services work a little bit better for elementary school age kids, we have one service a month now, the third of the month at 7 p.m. But it's an intergenerational service. It's not meant as a kids service, but a family-friendly service. And I hope some of you will make an effort to try to be there as we try to find more ways for different generations of our Temple community to interact with one another. So those are all great things. They're all in your Temple update. If you don't get a Temple update and you would like, send another email to me. We'll make sure you get on the list. That would be totally fine. And we're going to end. And for those of you here, sorry for those of you online, there's going to be an oneg that will be outside tonight near the sukkah. So rather than gathering here in the social hall, we're going to gather near the sukkah, and there are tables out there with some food and some other kinds of things like that. And first, before we go, we're going to end with a blessing. So if everybody gathers those who are with you here, your loved ones with you, we'll end with the family blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May God bless you with good and keep you safe. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha vichuneka. May God be with you and be kind to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha. Ve'asem lecha shalom. Shalom. May you always know that God is close, and may God give you the gift of peace. Shabbat shalom, everyone. As we gather outside, please introduce yourself to people you don't know so that we can get to know each other. And let's gather outside for Kiddush and for some refreshments. If you can take your Siddur, your family prayer book, and just put it back in the lobby where you picked it up. Thank you. Shabbat shalom for those who joined us from online. Hope to see you soon.